Hey, what's going on, guys? Jeff Naturally Caffeinated here. Today I want to talk to you about some experiences I had at the Idaho City 100-mile race. It was absolutely incredible. But first, I want to thank you guys. This channel is blowing up and people are commenting and giving me advice and helping me along my journey here. And you guys are amazing, and I just want to say I appreciate every piece of advice, your comments, everything you have done to help me to improve. And it's just made this journey incredible, hands down. So thank you very much. I've gotten donated stuff. I've been given tips and tricks, met a lot of nice people so far. It's just been incredible. So the Idaho City 100 is in Idaho City, Idaho. It's a 100-mile race out in the middle of literally nowhere. And it's an incredible experience. And I have to say that the Boise City Riders Association put on an amazing race, and the support from the volunteers, absolutely incredible. You guys were amazing. You supported us along that 100-mile journey, and we as riders really appreciate it. Yes, we paid to race. Yes, we prepared for the race, but there's nothing that prepares you like a hot, rugged 100-mile race. The Enduro race is insane. I had a great time. It was frustrating at times. It is truly a mental, emotional, and physical endurance challenge. And really the race is about managing your time, right? So I'm going to put a link in the description below on how to calculate time. So I have an Excel spreadsheet I can share with you. So if you're interested in how to calculate times for an Enduro race, this Excel spreadsheet it's got you covered completely. So 81A was my number. I was a DNF, did not finish, but let me explain. I finished the race. There was, right before I think it was checkpoint 3, there was this really bad, gnarly hill with this tree root coming out, and everybody that was going up of that just tore up the soil before it. So there was this long line. So you come up around this hill, and there's a stack up of guys riding who were waiting to get up that hill. So there was probably a good 40-minute wait to get up that hill, specifically at the time that I was there. And it was challenging, but the great thing about all you guys out there riding, you helped, right? So we did this chain gang thing, and people were helping pull people up and over, and it was incredible. Enduro riders are amazing. I appreciate everything that happened out on that race course. Met some great people and talked to some guys about different things that will help you along the way on a race. So let me update you on the bike really quick. So I had a problem with the coolant leaking. It was pissing coolant out. I replaced the O-rings on the head and thought that was going to take care of it. Took it out for a ride, and I thought, oh, this is cool. Didn't see any didn't hear any hissing, didn't see any coolant leak, but as soon as I got home, I pulled the cap off and I noticed that the coolant was down once again. So I had a viewer comment, and he said, hey, for kicks and giggles, he used some other words, you might as well try the radiator cap. Sure enough, I went to my favorite dirt bike store in Orem, Utah here, Cutler's Beta dealership, picked up a brand new radiator cap, and I'll put some pictures in here, and I'll show you the difference between the two. And surprisingly, or not surprisingly, the radiator cap was bad. So on the end of the radiator cap is supposed to have a rubber gasket. That was completely gone from my old cap. Put the new one on, took it out for a test spin. Coolant levels were perfect. So brought it out to the race. I just opened it up, and it's still completely full. So before you tear your motor apart and you consider maybe O-rings or something like that, ask around. There's a lot of nice people out there. People on YouTube have great advice, have great tips and tricks that can help you out. So anyways, it was the radiator cap. Problem solved. Didn't piss one drop that I could tell, and it's completely full. So I'm thankful for that. Number 2, the IRC JX8 Dakota tire. Man, that thing is absolutely 110% incredible. This thing is so dope. So the terrain, dusty, loose dirt, rocks, roots, mud, whatever you've ever ridden in, it's out there on that race course. And this tire performed absolutely amazing. Hands down, the best tire I've owned. Now, the VE33 is an amazing tire as well, but this one is next level. Thanks, Rich Larson at IRC Tires, for turning me on to this tire because it's incredible. So that is awesome. All right, the 300RR versus the Beta Cross Trainer. Now, my buddy rode with me in the race. I was 81A, he was 81B. We went out, we rode together. We finished within 30 seconds of each other. So what does that tell you? It tells you that you need riding skills. It tells you, I don't think it matters which bike you have, but there were certain sections of that race that this bike just did an amazing job. And there were certain sections of the race where the Cross Trainer did an amazing job. Overall, though, both bikes performed quite well for both riders. Now, we're completely different riders. He's 6 foot plus, I'm 5'9", I'm 150 pounds. He's about 200 pounds, somewhere around there. And, you know, we have stock setups with the exception of, I did change out the fork oil in his Cross Trainer to a 20 weight. It comes stock with a 5 weight oil. So we did that. He adjusted his clickers and he was very comfortable on the bike. It did an amazing job. So Cross Trainer versus 300RR, it just depends on what type of rider you are and the skill level you're at, right? So does it matter which bike you own? Probably not. You just have to understand how to ride the bike that you own. But the race was amazing. It was very challenging, and I have some tips for you guys. So tip number 1, make sure you are well hydrated 2 to 3 weeks before you start racing. Tip number 3, make sure you have plenty of water available, whether it's a bladder on your back or if you have a support crew at, so for example, gas stop number 2, checkpoint number 2, you have access to your crew. They can come in and give you a hand. They can help hydrate you and get you refilled up, top you off, whatever. But make sure you have plenty of water. It was hot out there. And when you're working so hard for 100 miles, you will perspire, you will breathe CO2 and water out of your body, and you will dehydrate very quickly on a long ride like that. So make sure you're well hydrated. Number 3, make sure you have electrolytes. You need salts. And when I say salts, I'm including potassium and all the others, not just sodium chloride. Your body needs calcium, potassium, salt, H2O. You need a lot of elements for your body to stay functioning properly, because I'll tell you what, you can lose your mind out on a race like that. It's mentally challenging. It is why enduro 100-mile, 1,000-mile, 3,000-mile races are very challenging. It gets in your head, but you need to balance that with nutrition. So, number 4, you need plenty of food. I ran out of food. Well, let me back up. I didn't run out of food. I didn't make time to eat enough. So, I'll give you a tip. I brought along with me baby food, and I'll show you a picture here. These baby pouches of food. All you do is pop the cap, squeeze it down your throat, put the cap back on, throw it back in your bag, and you're off. Now, easier said than done, right? When you're dehydrated, when you're hungry, when you're exhausted, you don't have a lot of time to think, but you have to make the time. So race prep is essential for a successful, safe enduro race. Tip number 4, make sure when you're preparing for a race, you ask around what other people are doing. So, for example, our gas cans, you get 2 gas cans per gas stop. And some guys, when we were bringing our gas cans to load up the morning of the race or the night before, it depends on the access you have to those trailers. There were guys that had taped water bottles to their gas cans. They taped gels that have electrolytes in it or caffeine or whatever. They had nutrition, they had hydration strapped to their tanks, and then they left it there. Very smart tip. So when you're preparing for a race, make sure you ask around, you go online, you do your research, and you get prepared. Okay, the next tip, I think I'm number 5 or number 6, sorry, is make sure you're physically fit, right? You don't have to be perfect, but my advice at minimum is 6 months of training beforehand. And that includes weightlifting, cardiovascular exercise, mental preparation, and going out on your bike and riding the mountains, riding the deserts, riding the motocross tracks, everything and anything you can ride, do it at a minimum 6 months prior. And I'll tell you why. So the race course was basically mountains, right? You're going up, you're going down. There was fire roads, there were mud and little creeks you crossed. But one thing that I wasn't prepared for physically was the amount of whoops that were on this particular race. And it's just constant beating you up just like this, right? So at the end of the race, the next morning, I had pain in my calf muscles, my upper traps, my right forearm, and then the longissimus muscles in your back. And so my tip to you is if you're going to do a long race, prepare your body for it. And I know when you get out there, there's only so much you can do, right? The rest of it is a mental game. But you need to be physically prepared. The exercise, the cardio, is good for the heart and lungs and all that, and that helps you with your endurance. But let me point out that physical exercise, lifting weights, not only helps keep you strong and healthy, but when you build muscle and you strengthen your bones, you're protecting your body from any kind of fall or accident that you may have on the race course. Now, I didn't fall much, but I did go down in a slow section. I just kind of went over my bars next to another rider. This guy was on like a 1980 Yamaha TT, and he had stopped because his legs were cramping up. Again, electrolytes, calcium, potassium, all this stuff. Nutrition is important. His legs were cramping up, so he stopped just before this tree on a really sharp right-hand corner going downhill, and I parked next to him just to see if he was okay, because during this race, there were a lot of people who got sick. They were very ill. And so I just stopped to just see if he was good, and he said yes. And so I started to release the clutch, and I said, TT for life, and the front end got all squirrely. I went over my bars, went over his front tire, and my bike landed on his, which he, unfortunately, he had these leg cramps, and he's holding up his bike along with my bike, and I'm rolling down this hill. It was hilarious, but thankfully I didn't injure myself. The extent of my injuries is a little scratch on my ring finger on my right hand, and then a blood blister here. So I was very fortunate, and I'm very thankful that I didn't hurt myself, and it was a safe experience out there on the race. So that's what I mean by preparing yourself physically, so you can protect yourself from any type of injury. So other than that, the bike performed really well. About 60 miles in, I started to have mental battles between, like, do I quit? Do I keep going? It was rough, to say the least. And it's the jarring, it's the hill climbs, it's the dust coming in your face, people passing you. You get so amped up that when you hear someone coming up from behind you, you're ripping to stay in front of them. For what reason? I don't know, because you're racing against your own clock in the Idaho City 100 race, right? So you've got this mental battle, and you got to be prepared for it. It's fun. It's long, to say the least. It is definitely an endurance race, but I'm very grateful and thankful that I had the support I did on the race with my friend Matt's family, and this Beta 300RR Race Edition dirt bike. It was an incredible ride. I didn't break anything on the bike that I know. I haven't even washed it yet. It's just totally dirty, and I've got my inside the seat here, there's my race card with all my average speeds I need to do, and then the times that I need to cross through each of the checkpoints. But that's why this pocket is on the seat on the Race Edition. It's pretty cool, Beta. So anyways, I just wanted to thank you guys for watching. I'll have some more updates, and hopefully, oh, by the way, real quick, the video I took of the race was horrible because it only lasted the first 8 minutes of the race. This is what I'm talking about, preparing for your race beforehand. Well, apparently my SD card was almost all the way full. So I started my camcorder, got on the road to start the race, and then 8 minutes in, right before my first special event or grass track during the race, just before the guy said go, it turned off. So again, you really got to make a checklist, check the boxes, make sure you're prepared for your race, so that when you get there, you have an enjoyable, good race, and then you have the video that you're looking for. So I've got some snapshots I'm going to include in here, and just 2 quick video snippets. Nothing special. I apologize. My next race, though, I will be better prepared because I've went through this experience. So sorry for the long video. I just want to thank you guys for all the tips and tricks. I want to thank you for supporting the channel, and please be safe when you're out riding. Prepare yourself for anything that could possibly happen, and enjoy riding your dirt bike. Have a great one, guys.